Welcome to the special election edition of the In the News podcast, where we are taking a look at the election in West Cork with just over 2 weeks to election day on November 29th. I'm joined today by reporters Jackie Keogh and Kieran O'Mahony and Deputy Editor Martin Claffey. So first off, let's take a look at the main constituency which encompasses West Cork, and that is Cork South West. So Jackie Keogh, you took a thorough look at this now for last week's paper. Give us a quick rundown on who is running and how it's looking so far.
Well, for starters, I'd say the 3 sitting TDs will be seeking re-election, but we also have Senator Tim Lombard, and in addition we have Councillor Noel O'Donovan and Councillor Alan Coleman.
Just for the uninitiated, the 3 sitting TDs are...
Oh, sorry, yes, of course. Michael Collins topped the poll on the last occasion, followed closely by Christopher O'Sullivan for Fianna Fáil at about six first preference votes, and then Holly
6,000, I hope.
6,600, followed closely by Holly Cairns, who was the surprise successor on that occasion because she ousted the Fine Gael candidate.
She kind of got pulled in really by Sinn Féin.
She did very well on transfers right throughout.
We won't have as much of a kick from Sinn Féin this time around.
Probably not. It's hard to tell with Holly because in her area it's not as densely populated as, say, the east of the constituency. So she'll be depending on her national profile and appeal throughout the constituency to get her across the line.
And to younger voters as well.
Oh, she's very popular, I think, with the younger voters because her social media presence, it has to be said, is she's prolific on it, really, and she has very high profile nationally.
So the other contenders, I suppose, for one of those seats would be Noel O'Donovan would be up there, we think, maybe with a chance. So he's a bit of a newcomer. Give us a little bit of background on him.
Well, with Noel O'Donovan, it's problematic insofar as he's on the ticket with Senator Tim Lombard, but he has a pedigree insofar as he was co-opted to replace Jim Daly initially, and he held his council seat for a while, but then decided to resign to become a member of An Garda Síochána, and then he returned.
Kind of coaxed back, we think, by the party, basically.
I think his interest in politics never left, so he returned and gave a very good performance in the June local elections. When it comes to discussing Noel O'Donovan, you have to consider that their strategy, there's a third seat, and the third seat will be a face-off between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Fine Gael have gone for 2 candidates and are hoping that the transfers from one will bring the other across the line, whereas Fianna Fáil are going with a single candidate, and that might suit them better in the long term, depending on the number of first preference votes that Christopher gets on this occasion.
Yeah. And the only thing I suppose to say about this constituency is that it's a little bit top heavy on the eastern side, and that there really isn't anybody from the Beara Peninsula, so all those votes are a little bit to play for, would you say? We used to have Noel Harrington down there for Fine Gael, had a very strong Fine Gael backing in that area, but they don't have a candidate from there this time.
I take the point you're making, and geography and personality has a lot to do with local elections, but with general elections, you're limited to 3 seats. If this was a 5-seater, it would be a free-for-all. So traditionally in West Cork, you had somebody in Bandon, somebody in Clonakilty, and in the West. So it would have been Jim O'Keefe for Fine Gael in Bandon, Joe Walsh for Fianna Fáil in Clonakilty, and you had Paddy Sheehan in the West. And that was seen as a perfect kind of seesaw with the fulcrum of Clonakilty in the middle. But that, of course, all changed when Dennis O'Donovan took Paddy Sheehan's seat. So now what it comes down to geographically is the bulk of the votes are on the eastern side of the constituency. So if a member of the constituency is loyal to the party, they have to vote for their candidate regardless of where they're based. It all comes down to wanting to have a voice at the table, and regardless of infighting or whatever, they will come out and vote according to their political allegiances.
Right. So if you were to call it?
Well, what I said in my article last week was that given the fact that it's 3 weeks and there is a huge level of disinterest, it has to be said, that it may very well be Michael Collins, maybe Holly, because she got 2 councillors elected in the local elections, like the Social Democrat party, and she almost got Chris Heinhold across the line in Bantry. Now that was phenomenal. That was the one thing that made everybody's jaw drop when the tally results came out in the local elections, and it can't be underplayed because it was surprising. Everybody was surprised by it. So all she needs to do is retain that cross-constituency appeal for Holly to be elected. As for Christopher, I think he's probably well placed. If the party come out and all parts of the party support him, then if he gets enough first preferences, he might just edge ahead of Fine Gael and take the seat.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But
well, I think if I was to, I would say I would probably agree with you on that one. I can't see a reason for change at the moment with the way things are going in the economy and that. And I think Christopher probably would have the edge, but it's all to play for. I don't know if Kieran and Martin want to throw their words into that.
Yeah, maybe Noel might be in with a chance for the 3rd seat, I think.
Okay, so you might go for that.
Possibly, yeah.
And Martin, do you think any change?
Well, I suppose the safe bet would be to say no change. But if you look at Tim Lombard would suggest that in the last election that he was actually before the Sinn Féin push helped to bring Holly over the line, that he was looking to get that seat. That didn't happen, and one would expect that Holly Cairns will only improve possibly from her last showing. And I suppose, as you said, geography has a lot to do with it. Maybe on the other way as well, that Alan Coleman, the independent who topped the local elections here, he might take away from the vote of Tim Lombard because they're in the same. They would take from the same area from around Kinsale and Shannon,
and he would have had a Fianna Fáil pedigree.
That's it as well. Like, will that take away from Christopher O'Sullivan? So it's harder to actually. I mean, on the surface, you would go with the safe bet, but if you delve a little deeper, there's a little nuances, and how unified the parties themselves, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, are, isn't clear from the outside. Yeah. So that'll have a huge bearing as well. Because if those party machines aren't all driving in one direction, will that actually affect the vote? Right. But that remains to be seen.
So I suppose the bottom line is what we're all in agreement with is one Independent Ireland, one Social Democrat, and then either one Fianna Fáil or one Fine Gael. Okay, so just to move on then to Cork North West, which Kieran O'Mahony, you're keeping an eye on that constituency, and what a lot of other media often miss is that quite a huge amount of that is actually in the West Cork area. If you look at around Dunmanway, north of Dunmanway town, and also your own patch,
my own patch,
town. So it's not to be forgotten when we're covering West Cork. So who's running there, and how
I suppose the big change for this election is that, the Michael Creed isn't running; he's stepping away. So there's going to be a fight for Fine Gael to retain his seat.
But it's going to be a bit complicated because there's
For people who may not know, Michael Creed is a sitting councillor in Macroom, and he's his first cousin. So even somebody said to me there recently they saw the posters and they were getting very confused.
Yeah, why is the wrong face Michael Creed's poster? Yeah.
So he along with another sitting councillor, John Paul O'Shea from the Mallow area, are both hoping to retain the seat, or the one Fine Gael seat that they have there. I'd say John Paul O'Shea might be in with a hope because he performed well in the locals, and he did well in 2020 as well. He nearly got the last seat. And then on the other side we have two sitting Fianna Fáil TDs, Andreas Moynihan and another namesake, Michael Moynihan. Andreas topped the poll 2020. I mean, he's expected to do well, but since the last election, the Ballincollig area has been taken out of of Cork North West, and that may affect him.
Yeah.
but I can't see anything really changing. We have Sinn Féin this time. Nicole Ryan is running for Sinn Féin. They had no candidate the last time, but I'd say the Sinn Féin bounce is probably deflated by now.
Yeah.
And I don't think she has a high enough profile as compared to Leah Nirida, who was originally going to run.
And she's coming in a little bit late.
She's coming in a bit late, yeah. And we do have Independent Ireland as well, just announced as well.
Walter Purcell,
yeah.
Would be known to a lot of people down in Mizzen. He was based there for a while. So how would you call it if you were to call it now?
I'd say and probably Andreas Moynihan, Michael Moynihan, and possibly John Paul O'Shea taking the Fine Gael seat. I can't see any real change.
Yeah, in the
two Fianna Fáil, one Fine Gael.
Okay, and Kieran, back to you also now for Cork South Central, and just give us a little bit of the geography of that constituency and how it impacts on West Cork.
Yeah, I suppose it's it takes in Carrigaline as well, a big area of that, and it's going now from a 4-seater to a 5-seater.
Right.
And the big changes this time are, I suppose, Simon Coveney is gone, Michael McGrath is gone.
He's gone to Europe. Michael McGrath's gone to
Europe,
Simon isn't running.
Simon isn't running, and of course it's the Micheál Martin has a seat there, so he's hopefully going to be retaining the seat. Donnacha O'Leary, Sinn Féin, but there are a lot of people vying for the seats. Seamus McGrath, Michael's brother, is hoping to keep that seat for Fianna Fáil and keep it in the family, really.
He's a very successful...
Yeah, he was the highest, he got the most first preferences in the June local elections.
Yeah.
So it's expected he'll definitely will get a seat. But then you have a lot of sitting county councillors like Una McCarthy and Carrigaline, and City Councillor Shane Callan, who's originally from Bandon. He topped the poll in his local elections in the city in June as well.
Right.
So there could be 2 seats there. Sinn Féin are running 2 candidates as well, Donnacha and Michelle Cowie Shah. And I mean, it's a really crowded...
So if you were to call it, because I know it's...
Oh yeah, sorry, and Jerry Bottomar, Senator, is going into the mix.
Very high profile, yes.
Yeah, I'd say Donnacha, Seamus McGrath, Micheál Martin, I'd say Shane Callahan, and maybe Jory Bottomar.
And so how does that leave the state of the parties then?
It would be 2 Fianna Fáil, 2 Fine Gael and 1 Sinn Féin.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's just 2 weeks left in the race, and anything could literally happen over the course of the campaign, and most certainly anything could happen at the County Centre, which looks like being in Mallow, controversially for West Cork, on the 30th of November. And just to remind listeners that on that day we will be running a minute-by-minute update on the count from early Saturday morning on southernstar.ie, so don't forget to have it bookmarked on your laptop, on your phone, whatever device you have that day, and to see who will be representing you in the 34th Dáil. Thanks everybody.